good morning, everyone. You're welcome to this webinar of the African Center of Excellence on Technology Enhanced Learning, National Open University of Nigeria. The webinar will kick off in a moment, just some few checks. Please, let me put on my video. Okay, I'd like to know if you are hearing me. Please, if you are, especially our panelists that are online, will you be so kind as to just raise your hand or unmute yourself and say something?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ndunagu.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we're starting immediately. So this is a one-day seminar on cybersecurity, human factors in cybersecurity. There will be two sessions. The first session is starting now, and we end around 12 o'clock, after which we'll go for a short break and come back for the second session, which starts by 12:30. And finally, the sessions will all end by 2 o'clock. There will be question and answer sessions where we can interact with our facilitator for today, whom I'll introduce in a little while. So if you have your questions, you can note it down. Now, there are two ways, basically, we can send in questions. Even while the seminar is going on and you want to send a question you can do so by chat messages. So if you just go down to your icon below in the Zoom application, you will see question and answer or chat. Okay, so you can just type one question or the other there or respond to whatever is there. Secondly, when the question and answer starts properly, you will have the opportunity to raise your hand and then we will invite you to speak. So that's the way we will handle the interactive sessions. Okay, so like I said, the seminar is on cybersecurity. I'm very sure it's going to be an interesting one because today we face lots of issues that has to do with cybersecurity. Excuse me. We would like to go on by having opening remarks. I can recognize our panelists, the people from the African Center of Excellence on Technology Enhanced Learning that are on board at the moment. We have the Deputy Director of ASTEL in the person of Professor M.B. Abdullahi on board. We have Dr. Vivian Waucha, who is the HOD Computer Science on board. We also have... We also have Dr. Juliana Ndunagu, the Deputy Dean, Faculty of Science on board. Of course, our presenter is also here, Dr. Ismail Idris. We have the General Administrator of ASTEL also on board, Mr. Udochukwu Chidi. So without wasting further time, I will invite Professor Abdullahi, the Deputy Director of ASTEL, to give us his opening remarks. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Prof.
Yeah, I'm pleased to be here with you, and I'm happy to welcome our presenter, Dr. Idris Ismail, today for today's webinar. Our panelists, our participants, you are all welcome to this seminar, which is hoped to improve our understanding of cybersecurity in the ICT ecosystem. We hope you will be with us and note all of your observations and questions. And there will be a session thereafter for these questions and observations so that we will be all carried along in the process of dissemination the appropriate information for our 3 newborn programs. So you are most sincerely welcome to this activity. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Abdullahi, for that very warm opening remarks. So as has been said, we'll look at the roles of cybersecurity practitioners, weakest link in cybersecurity, and knowledge of defenders. So we will learn a lot about the key elements of cybersecurity and why it is important for everyone today to stay safe. And then we'll look at humans as developers, designers, practitioners, consumers, and even as active adversary. I can assure you that the sessions are packed. Please stay tuned to the end. Now I would like to introduce the speaker, our facilitator for today's webinar, in the person of Dr. Ismail Idris. Now, Dr. Idris is an expert in cybersecurity and one of the key persons helping the African Center of Excellence in putting the cybersecurity course on stream. He is one of our editors. Dr. Idris received a BTech in Mathematics and Computer Science from the Federal University of Technology, Minna, and also has an MSc in Information Security from the University of Ilorin in 2002 and 2009, respectively. He has received a PhD degree from the University of Technology, Malaysia in 2014. Since then, he has been Deputy Director, Information Technology Services at the Federal University of Technology, Minna. Currently, he is the head of the Cybersecurity Science Department of Federal University of Technology, Minna. He is also the National Vice President, Cybersecurity Expert Association of Nigeria. He has 2 patent works in his bag with Innovation and Commercialization Center, ICC, Malaysia. He is a member of the Editorial Board Journal of Computer Engineering and Information Technology, an international journal of artificial intelligence and applications. His research interests include cybersecurity, data mining, soft computing, computational intelligence, and information retrieval. He's a member Board of Trustees, Cybersecurity Expert Association of Nigeria, also a member of the Computer Professional Registration Council of Nigeria, CPN, also a member of the International Association of Engineers and the Association of Computing Machinery, ACM. So he's a man with no doubt very, very laudable credentials, and I'm very sure that by the end of today, we will gain a lot from the wealth of knowledge that will be presented to us. So without any further ado, I would like to give the floor to Dr. Ismail Idris to begin the lecture. Okay. Dr. Idris, you may wish, if you can, to
allow my video.
Okay. Your video is not coming on.
Everybody's.
Oh, okay. That should be from mine. Just a minute. Let me sort that out. Just 1 second. Okay, can you try putting on your video now, Dr. Idris?
It's fine now.
Okay. Right.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ismaila Idris. I will today be giving a seminar on the human factors in cybersecurity. I would want to say this seminar is apt just as the ESTAL program, because the major focus for this seminar is for us to be able to, get our prospective students to understand cybersecurity and wanting to have interest in, enrolling in the ESTAL program on cybersecurity. Before I proceed, I would want to give us some, slight introduction of cybersecurity itself before going into detail to, our subject for the day. Of course.
Sorry, if you don't mind, are you sharing your screen?
I am not sharing it yet.
Yet, okay, all right. That's sorry for interjecting.
Okay, let me just share. Okay. Before we go on with the topic of the day, I would want us to understand some concepts that we all are aware of, like talking about computer security, network security, information security, cyber security. All these are used to describe protection of information assets, and this itself is still talking, cyber security. So it depends on, which way, you want to look at it. And basically, the objective of cybersecurity is to be able to involves critical components of confidentiality, integrity, and availability. This is basically what, cybersecurity entails, able to see how we can protect, individual for an unauthorized access. That's talking about confidentiality. You would want to, you have your computer systems, you are in the network, you are, using, some of your apps. You want to make sure you don't have a third party that is, infiltrating into this system. And it is very, very huge talking about confidentiality, because if there is no confidentiality, it is very, very likely that, you have destruction of your information, data, and, what have you. And also talking about integrity, that is protection from unauthorized modification. You want to protect information that is being transmitted either from you or from, to the third party. You want to try to see how you can protect it from modification, because if modification comes in, it means such information becomes no more viable. It changes the meaning and not able to communicate, what that information is supposed to communicate to, the second party. And also we talk about availability, that is protection from disruption in access. We want to make sure we are very, very much, available. Nobody is disrupting you from, accessing, information, or you trying to transmit from, one point to the other. All these are some of the basic concepts of cybersecurity, and the reason why we would want to, study cybersecurity. That means we will start by, looking at the human factors in cybersecurity. Why the human factors? Of course, when we talk cybersecurity, most of those components that makes up cybersecurity are, in stages. And that's why today's topic we'll be looking at developers and designers. There is no way we talk cybersecurity without talking about, developers and designers, because most applications, most softwares that are being used today online definitely have to be developed, have to be designed, and doing this with the intention, with the mind of securing such, applications. And also looking at humans and users, and also as users and consumers. These two, of course, the users, the consumers, are those that are supposed to use most of these applications. How are they able to use it successfully without being, attacked or without being hacked? All these we'll be looking at it vis-a-vis, as we move on. And also we have the human as orchestrators and practitioners. At the same time, it's the same human that plays the bad guys and the same human that plays, the good guys. You have the practitioners. The practitioners basically, they require, a lot of skills to be able to manage, the assets. While the orchestrators are the bad guys that are looking for loopholes, are looking for ways to want to, infiltrate into, certain information, get certain data to be able to use for either personal gains or for monetary gains and, what have you. All these, we'll be looking at it, detail. And also we have our human as active adversaries. This aspect too is very, very, huge, because, you find situation whereby, you are online, or you are using your computer, even if you are not online, not knowing that you have a third party, already, on your system, getting information from your system, or able to have access to your network transmission from one point to the other is being disrupted, and the rest. All this happens because of some of the adversaries we never thought about. All these forms the basics factor why, we talk cybersecurity. And the most critical component of cybersecurity, the humans play a critical role in the realization of, security. That's what, it is talking about. And also, by the time we look at this, we'll also be looking at some of the key elements of cybersecurity and why it is important for everyone to stay safe, and an overview of the PhD program in STIL. Now, it is stated that from the Verizon data breach, investigation report pointed out that the common denominators across the top 4 cybercrime, that is incidents that occurs, people, the human, are 90% involved in this. What this means is every incident, that is talking about the 4 cybercrime incidents, the top 4 cybercrime incidents that have occurred, human plays 90% of this crime. And that's why we see, humans as one huge, factors of cyber security. And also looking at cybersecurity science as an important aspect of understanding, development, and practice of cybersecurity. Of course, you will not talk about, cybersecurity without talking about the developmental angle. That was why we talked about developers and designers of systems. If only we can, want to leave this to just the developers to want to undo, application development, it means there will be a huge gap in terms of, securing these, these applications. And they're also talking about practice. Every aspect of cybersecurity will need to involve, us, practicing, especially in the part of the practitioners, even the orchestrators, they have to practice, because in most climes, you find out that in most cases, the orchestrators, the bad guys are always ahead of the good guys or the practitioners. They learn to understand, the environment. They learn to understand, the concept of, what's, the framework of security is in such organizations. And this made it easy for them to able to, have access to or control into, such organizations. So they too, they are involved in what we call, a practice. And also we have the human as active adversaries. Human too, they also practice to be able to, understand what type of attack is viable to want to, infiltrate certain, assets. We said here that cybersecurity is a broad category covering the technology and practice used to protect computer networks, computers, and also data from harm. When you look at it holistically, these are the basic, issues that we're talking about. Safeguarding our data, our information from, from leakage or from breach. Or we're talking about, safeguarding our computer systems, because you have instances where spear phishing, with spear phishing, you're able to them via the malware, So, and also we have the computer networks too. All these areas where, we would have to be looking at during, cybersecurity protection of certain, assets. Now, human as developers and designers, basically what we want to look at in this area is the practitioners themselves. As you make up your mind to want to, enroll in, the ESTEL cybersecurity programs, you would want to, understand some, certain fundamentals that will help to want to improve your capacity as a cybersecurity professionals. And here we'll be looking at the roles, thinking and acting as developers and designers. That is talking about the cybersecurity practitioners. You would also say, because you are a practitioner or you are a cybersecurity professionals, you wouldn't want to get involved into development of applications, development of softwares, or development of, some of the computer assets. Why? Because in most cases, you find out that those that develops, applications in organizations are different from the security professionals. This makes it very, very difficult for organizations to be able to marry or to be able to not have a loose ends when it comes to securing, such applications. But if as a cybersecurity professionals, you are able to develop applications and not only leaving it to just the developers, it becomes very, very easy for us to be able to, cover the loopholes in terms of, security aspects that could endanger, the users of such applications. And in that light, you find out that these days, most companies, big companies, they rather prefer a developer that can also, address the issue of, security. That way, it helps them to have an holistic security in their applications and also be able to have a robust, secured applications. And for the practitioners to become, a professional or wanting to enroll, in the ESTEL programs, there are some certain skills that you will need to, succeed with in cybersecurity. Like, for instance, talking about you having a solid work habits as a practitioner, as a professional in cybersecurity, having a solid work habit is very, very vital. You're having a soft skills, implementation skills. These are important. Management skills, and also grasping the big picture. You'd want to, I would, explain briefly, all these skills that are viable that would, help you to enhance your capacity as a professional in cybersecurity. Firstly, talking about the solid work habits. The eagerness to dig into technical questions and examine them. You're able to dig into this and examine them from all, you're looking at all angles when, looking at this technical, not just one point of view. You want to have an habit of, looking at issues from both sides of the coin. This definitely will, help you in developing your solid work habit. And enthusiasm and a high degree of adaptability, able to adapt to, whatever, situation, whatever circumstance that come your way, and able to, break through based on, there's a circumstance. Strong analytical and diagnostic skills, a current understanding of common web vulnerabilities. This is very important too. Maintaining awareness and knowledge of contemporary standards, practice, procedures, and methods. All these are some of the, solid work habits that you would have to, look at when talking about, professionals in cybersecurity. And for the soft skills, an excellent presentation of communication skills is very, very important. You see that, there are some, aspect of cybersecurity that you only need to, explain to either, your boss, or explain to, sets of individuals, because cybersecurity is everybody's business. Even if today I am not a security person, or I don't have any business with cybersecurity, because I do transaction online, because I do, I buy stuff online and the rest. It is important that I am aware of certain, skills. I'm aware of certain, things that I will do online that could be detrimental to, my actions, or could be detrimental to, what's, action I've taken. So with this, it is important for, a cybersecurity professional to have this kind of skills to be able to, communicate to, individuals, to the management, and also the customers on how to stay safe, how to, use the browser, how to want to, protect, your data online and the rest. So all these are essential information which must be communicated by the cybersecurity professional. And also talking about the ability to clear, articulate complex concepts, both writing and verbal. This also is an area where we would want to, look at ability to understand and usage of active listening skills. All these are concepts that you want to put into consideration, talking about some of the skills as cybersecurity professionals. Also, we have what we call the technical skills. Of course, most students will want to ask, what technical skills do I need to, have for me to be able to, enroll in the cybersecurity programs? Or is it necessary for me to be able to understand, some technical skills? Yes, it is. It is. Especially, programming language, that is very, very essential for us. And for starters, we should understand the architecture, administration, and management of operating systems. This is very, very key as a professional, in cybersecurity. We want to understand all these, like the various Linux, Windows, operating systems, all these, they are very, very vital, because by the time you start talking about forensics, computers forensics, these are the key areas that you would want to, be conversant enough with for you to be able to, analyze, certain, systems. And talking about networking and also virtualization softwares, all these are very, very, important. In other words, get to know and love things like the firewalls and network load balancers. All these are critical when talking about some certain skills that you need to, acquire. And again, it is important for us to be able to understand some common programming languages like the Java, the C or C++, the assembly plus assembly language, and also script languages, talking about the PHP, the Python, and what have you. And also we'll look at many employers also demand some certifications from will be cybersecurity professionals. So I think this aspect too will help to enhance your capacity as a professional in the field, as a practitioner in the field, able to go through some of the certifications aside the degrees like the certified ethical hacking, the offensive security certified for professional, CISA, and what have you. There are many of these professional courses you can also enroll in to help enhance your capacity in learning. So, and also we're talking about the implementation skills too. Implementation skills for practitioners is very, very great too, and very, very important. And as a good cybersecurity professional, you should be able to know some of the companies or the organization security setup from an holistic view of it, including talking about the threat model, specification, implementation, testing, and also vulnerability assessment. All these components. I think we'll dabble into some of these keywords we're talking about as time goes on in the course of the presentation. And also should understand security issues associated with operating systems, networking, and also visualization softwares. All these are key other areas that I think as a professional we should be able to look at this angle. By the time we're able to do this and more, I think it's going to be easy for us to scale through these programs. Of course, I would want to say here that the A-STAR program itself is not just the usual textbook stuff, because in most of the content there you find also practical components of whatever you have been taught in the class, or there is in your textbooks, and also a virtual live lab available for you to hands-on on some of these stuff for you to do some implementation. And talking about the implementation skills too, there is need for us to be able to code to based on the different programming language that you learn. This will help to enhance your capacity as a professional. We'll have the management skills too. Of course, there are the management angle to it too, where you'll be able to organize and coordinate technical vulnerability assessment as a manager in an organization. Talking about the system and network vulnerability assessment, penetration testing, web applications, all these, and the social engineering assessment, all these are critical components for managerial skills. So it is important for us to be able to, do most of those things. Depends on what skills you want to, really, that took your interest, that you want to really, rely on. And we have the grasping the big picture. The big picture is you'd want to know about some certain laws as a professional. You'd want to know that by the time, maybe as an orchestrator or the bad guys, by the time they're able to, like, you know, hack into a system, what happens to them? You'd want to know what kind of law are in place for cyber security. Yeah, you know, the bad guys in cyber security that are trying to infiltrate into, you know, network, people's, you know, information and the rest. You'd want to know about, you know, some of the cybercrime laws available in the country. Like, let's say the Cybercrime Act of 2015 in Nigeria. For hackers, if found guilty, that is, if an individual hack, you know, another person's, you know, system, or getting information from, you know, certain network or somebody's, you know, computer, of unlawful accessing a computer system or network, that person is liable to a 10 million or a term of imprisonment of 5 years. You either paying the 10 million naira or a fine. All these, you need to understand these as a side, because the laws itself is meant for, you know, the professionals and also, you know, the every other individual. So it is important who interprets these laws. Of course, it's for the, you know, consumption of mainly the professionals and also, you know, every other person. So these are some of, you know, the skills, talking about practitioners. And we're talking about some of the roles, thinking and acting as, you know, developers. So let's look at this. Having a business, leveraging on the internet. Here we see we are, you know, an individual. You see, you have the hardware repairer, you have the software developer, you have the security guy there, you know, individuals doing their own thing. So how do you harmonize this to make, you know, security better? Talking about, you know, developing, you know, security for certain applications. This become very, very cumbersome. And that's why it is advised as a professional, you're able to develop, you know, these applications for yourself so that you'll be able to, you know, key in most of these, you know, loopholes. And as you can see, so many things in our world today leverage on communication on the internet, like the communication platform, the network. You have different, you know, opponents, the browser, you have, you know, your email address, you have your computer systems, so many things, you know, woven around this. And you have the cloud services too, and the e-commerce platforms. All these are services that are leveraged to, you know, the internet. And the reason why we must protect most of these, you know, applications, because they are all used by human, and also it's the same human that, you know, would want to infiltrate or create, you know, leakages, loopholes, or, you know, through into the systems. And it's the same human that would want to, you know, make it very, very secure for it not to, you know, have any, you know, loopholes, or able to, you know, have, you know, attack by, you know, an individual, by any individual. So these are some of these things we're leveraging on. And again, of course, there is price for all of this. By the time we want to, you know, work around, you know, our applications without securing them, I will tell you that we have, you know, virtually so many, you know, applications today that we cannot do it. And we have so many applications today that are already taking the place of, you know, what, you know, human can do. And most of this information in these applications, if distorted, becomes a critical issue, becomes a critical issue in terms of how it affects human life. Let's take, for example, of the Marriott, you know, hotel. where we have over 500 million users were exposed. That is having a security breach. That actually happened in around April 2020. And then with this information like the name, the date of birth, the phone number of individual of these numbers of users becomes, available by these hackers. So we know what this means. We know what this entails in terms of, trying to, secure, some of these, applications. And also we have the eBay too, where you can always have your, purchases. And we have a situation whereby, passwords are being, compromised using, the eBay. And by the time a password has been compromised, this means it is possible for that individual to be able to have access to, your platform and able to have access to, your transaction and able to, siphon or buy stuff using, your platform. So all these are some of the dangers, talking about why we should always secure our internet. And we have situation where we have 500 million, users being exposed. That is talking about the Yahoo. That happens in the second half of, 2016, where we have, at least most people have a Yahoo account, and having situations where, you are on these platforms and you are not safe. It's a cause for worry. And that is why we need to, really talk about, developers and also designers of these, applications. Because by the time we just look at just the application component of designers component of it alone, it becomes, a very great cause for worry. Yeah, it becomes a very great cause for worry because, it means the millions of people that will be accessing this platform might, fall prey of, one or two of this kind of attacks. And some of the fallout from the developers and designers are not taking responsibility for ensuring security. You just develop without looking at, what kind of security measures can I put in place to be able to secure, such apps, not treating security as a priority, poor understanding of potential risk. You don't want to look at what might happen if this applications is not well secured. What should I do to be able to fortify, all this? You want to look at it and see how it will help to, help, taking away that human factor, that human risk in it. Or zero security audits. All these are, concerns talking about, fortifying, applications and other softwares by being developed by developers and also the designers. Now, we look at human as users and consumers too. The humans as users and consumers are commonly described as the weakest link in cybersecurity. Yes, they are the weakest link because in most cases, hackers looked to see, how to infiltrate through certain information or certain, network via the users and also the consumers. It is a good thing for an organization to fortify, the security of such, organization, to have a very fantastic framework, to want to build, a successful security to manage the organization. But what about the users of these facilities? And what about the consumers? Because there are, different ways in which, you know, attacks could come in via, you know, the users and also the consumers. So this makes them, you know, the weakest, you know, link in terms of, you know, security of some of these applications. We'll go there. And it is we'll talk more about, you know, why they are the weakest link anyway. And it is stated that about 4.57 billion people today are on the internet, which is about close to 60% of the world's total population. This is very, very huge. This is very, very huge because, and it increased by the day. Of course, with our today's factor, talking about the sit at home, the, you know, the COVID-19 stuff, most people now use the, you know, the internet more. It's either you are doing Facebooking, Twitter, WhatsApp, and also most meetings taking place today are on the Zoom and the other, you know, platforms. So all these are factors that plays, and the reason why, you know, we will keep having vulnerability in, you know, vis-a-vis whatever we do, because the more the people, the more, you know, cyber hackers try to, you know, infiltrate, you know, through, you know, certain assets, certain information, and able to, you know, swindle, you know, individual, either monetarily, because in most cases this is done for either money, for because of you know, gain of, you know, money, or either because of it could be a government, you know, planned, you know, hacking, wanting to get certain vital military or political information. So all these are, you know, factors that plays. So, and we said here that in most cases too, 91% of, you know, attacks that happens begins with spear phishing email. This is very, very common amongst us, and where you will have a situation where email is being sent to your mail, either a link or an attachment for you to be able to click to, you know, have access. And by the time you click this link on the attachment, what happens? Immediately you invite, you know, malware into your system. It's either this malware is there getting information out of your system to the other source, or, you know, the other person is there watching every activities you do on your system. And in most cases, of course, they understand, you know, how intelligent you are, how you could, you know, want to think, this link, should I click it? Should I not click it? Or, you know, this folder, should I open it or not? That's why in most cases, they use your trusted partners to want to perpetrate this, either, you know, the organization you're working with, or they look at, you know, your boss sending an email to you. And in most cases, you find out they will tell you this is urgent for you to be able to, you know, click on time and, you know, get infected. So all this, we want to look at it as we move on. And this, again, is some of, you know, concerns talking about users and, you know, the consumers as the weakest link in cybersecurity. Another very, very vital and important one that plays again is what we call social engineering. Because in, you know, recent times, this is one of the tools that is being used by hackers, by attackers, to be able to get information. Because in most cases, it's not just securing, you know, the cyberspace, able to secure, your asset, your infrastructure. But another aspect is, information, security information that are being gotten from, an organization should be well kept. And information that are not required again should be properly disposed. This helps to help secure, such organizations. And you find situations where, information are just left idle without being, attended to, or and anybody can just walk in and, have access to this. All these are very, very vital. They are very key to making sure, the users and the consumers are able to secure, and also,
hello, Dr. Idris. Okay, sorry to interject. We just have maybe about 5 minutes to round up, then we'll move into the interactive sessions for this first part. Thank you.
It's all right. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, okay, let me just, brush through this. And users and consumers fall out. We have not keeping your computer updated with the latest security patches, misconfiguration in computer security settings, use of pirated software and applications, and that is a lack of awareness and training. This component is very, very vital, because in an organization, there is need for, awareness for an individual to be able to know its or a boundary, what you should be doing, how you will do it to be able to stay, safe on the internet. And we have the human as orchestrators and practitioners. Of course, as I rightly said, you have, the defenders, which is the practitioners, and also the orchestrators, which are the bad guys too, that we want to, hack into, the system. We said here the defenders must be knowledgeable of the environment, the tools at their disposals, and the state of security at the given time. As a practitioners, aside, most of the skills as we mentioned, earlier, there is need for us to be, to have knowledge of, our environment and, what we are doing. It is very, very key for us to be able to, have this. And another thing, talking about the offensive and the defensive cybersecurity, there is always a need for, programming skills, because this is one aspect that, my students ask in most cases. Do I need any programming skills? Just as I've mentioned, some of the programming skills we want to, want to learn to be able to move on, in this program. There is need for us to have programming knowledge, and it proves some kind of essential for analyzing software for vulnerabilities, identifying malicious software and other tasks required for cyber security analysis. This is very, very vital. We look at, as time goes on, we look at some of the overall technical skills wanted in cyber security. So looking at, of course, it is stated that we have, shortage of highly skilled cybersecurity professionals, and by this year, of course, 1.5 million cybersecurity professionals are needed. That is to tell you how very, very huge it is. And earlier on, I talked about, some of the professional courses that you would want to, undertake, which I listed here, aside your degree. With the degree and with the hands-on, based on, using the virtual lab, this will definitely help in, improving your ability to want to go into some of these, professional courses. And some of these are, just as mentioned, are like, the defenders, the cyber analysts, the network defender, and also the incident responder. All these are some of the cybersecurity skills that available for us to want to, look at. Like talking about the cybersecurity analyst, they will help an organization to employ a range of technologies and processes to prevent, detect, and manage cyber threats. Able to, in most cases, talking about the network defender and also the incident responder, able to manage, cyber threats. And also we have also the, vulnerability analysis and testing. Talking about the testers, condition testers, the vulnerability analysis, and exploit developers. This helps to, help us detect weakness in networks and software, and then take measures to correct and strengthen security within such, system. And vulnerability analysis too, and also we have the exploit developer. Sorry, because of time, I will not, be able to expatiate more on this. And also we have the security engineer architecture. The architect able to solve, solution architects, security program developer, security engineer, building of a SOC, that is a security operation center, configure cyber technologies. All these are some, the, components of security engineer or architect and developers. Talking about the SOC, normally I think this is one technology that most organizations use these days. I mean, huge organizations, and it's even very, very advisable with even the banking sectors too. Mostly you build centralized IT security monitoring and incident response activities, whereby you'll be on the screen, you'll be able to see activities, happenings via the organization network. You know what data is coming in, what is going out, and what security threat is imminent at present, and how to mitigate against such security attacks, and all this. So it's just able to develop a very use screen that helps us to prevent breaches and external cyber attacks. And we have the governance, risk, and also compliance, talking about the CISA, data protection, and officer frameworks, implementers, all these risk, compliance, and governance. This is also a critical aspect of cybersecurity, because as a CISA, you should be able to implement an audit strategy for information systems that is based on risk management, planning audits that can be used to determine whether or not IT assets are protected, managed, and also valuable. So it is very, very key to an organizations too. And also, I'm rounding up already. I'll round up now. Sorry. We have the managers too, able to manage team and also projects, having the CISO, the security manager, specialist, and also the consultant. And some of the orchestrators and practitioners fall out. We have the security controls, this configuration, and the poor change management in security controls implementation, no level of knowledge to respond to some of these incidents, poor budgeting, poor or zero processes on incident management and analyst biasness and alarm fatigue. I think we'll leave it for now. When we resume for the second session, we'll be looking at human as active adversary and some other components in the seminar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ismail Idris, for that very intensive presentation. Of course, cybersecurity is a very broad area, and I know there are many, many more things that we can say. But before we go on any break, I feel it's nice for us to interact a little bit and get to understand practical issues and also try to address some of the concerns some of our participants may be having or direct questions regarding what has been presented so that we can interact on it and have more information. So please, the floor is open. I believe our participants are all on. We have our expert, our speaker is here, and also some members of the computer science team are also available. So let's interact at the moment. So like I said, if you want to speak, you can raise up your hand. Secondly, you can type in the questions at the chat menu over there. So if there are questions, let us know, raise your hand, and we'll give you the opportunity to speak. Okay, as I said, you can also type in the question. So I have Kadiri Kayode Ibrahim raised his hand. So can we hear from you, Mr. Kadir?
Thank you, Mr. Presenter. We have heard a lot and you have said a lot. Thank you for the presentation. I gained much knowledge. But you have said a lot about the cybersecurity on the banking platform, WhatsApp and Facebook. But you have not enlightened us about the solution, how we can guide ourselves against all this cyber crime. Even though on our network that we are using as in our office. So please, can you enlighten us about the solution, how we can prevent ourselves as a layman? We are a layman because you are talking to us. You are a professional. I'm a layman there.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that question. I'm sure our presenter is taking note of it and he's going to address them one after the other. So the question is, from a layman's perspective,
what exactly is the question?
Yeah, I'm trying to rephrase it. From a layman's perspective, how can we better secure ourselves from the threats that exist in the cyberspace? A lot of us today use WhatsApp. We are online all the time, and we conduct banking transactions. You are mentioning, you've actually mentioned some of these things. So the question is, practically, from a down-to-earth or from a layman's perspective, what are 1, 2, 3 tips that you can give so that we can be better secured? So that's question 1. So let's take the other ones for now, and then I'm sure you'll be able to respond to it. Please take note of them, sir. So we also have Dr. Ernest Ogbeje raising up his hand. So I will allow him to make his contributions. Dr. Ernest. You have to unmute your microphone. Okay. Also, we have Mr. Joel Gowin on board. So while we wait for Dr. Ernest, Mr. Joel, if you are on, can you go on with your question? Then you also have Adamu Abubakar. I'm allowing you to have the opportunity to ask your question. So whoever is ready, can you start?
Hello, I'm ready.
Okay.
This is
Mr.
Joel.
Joel, all right.
Yeah, we appreciate the presenter. He is well knowledgeable and he is vast from his presentation. We have learned a lot within a short time. He made mention that he is the vice president of CSAN, which is good. I want to ask whether the CSAN have any handshake with NGSAT. NGSAT supposed to serve as a response team for the whole country. So I don't know whether the CSAT have a good handshake with CSAT, with NGSAT, so NGSAT, sorry, so that most of the skills that they have as an association, CSAT and NGSAT, they should be able to now work together to protect the malicious traffic within the nation's network or infrastructure.
Okay.
Hello.
So, are you done, Mr. Joe?
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Joe. I believe you are asking if there is a handshake between CSAN and NGSAT in such a way that they can work together to promote cybersecurity in Nigeria. I believe that's the question.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Joe, for that. And that's an interesting question. We all know the challenges of cybersecurity, and even the name Nigeria has gotten because of some very, very nefarious people. So that question relates to how our coordinating bodies can work together. Yes, Adamu Abubakar, are you on? And also Dr. Ernest, are you on? Either of you may please go ahead. Okay. All right. I think we'll just allow the our facilitator to respond to these questions before we go on. So over to you, Dr. Idris. You need to unmute yourself, Dr. Idris. We can't hear you.
Thank you very much for the questions. I think I have 3 questions here. The number 1 question will be addressed in the course of the further presentation. So, as a user and the individual, using the internet, either using any of the applications, there is need for us to make sure we secure, such via probably password authentication. That's very, very important. And also we have situations where, individuals using one password for different applications. All these are not, good practice. You have scenario where, somebody is able to, have access to your password online, able to, secure, maybe an encrypted password, and he used it for one of your application, it works for it, and it knows very well that he will be able to use that to, operate other, applications. These are some of, the shortfalls in terms of, the side of the users, and also making sure you protect yourself against, spear phishing. That's a situation where, links or, folder is being sent to you without knowing the source of this, messages, and you clicked on it to be able to want to have access. That itself can, make, an individual become, vulnerable based on, probably having a malware attack, and, the person at the underside able to, access such a person's, information and, data. And there are so many, steps you would want to take to, these are a few of it. And as time goes on in, the presentation, I think we have, area where we'll talk more on some of the ways in which, we can prevent attacks and the type of attacks we should, look out for. That be it for the first, question. I saw on the scroll somebody talking about, I should explain better on software engineering. Basically, software engineering is like deception or trying to manipulate individuals into, indulging, confidential or able to divulge, confidential or personal information either for an organization or, for individual. And by the time this happens, it's like a trick. You use some certain, tactics, techniques, and procedures to want to, see how you can get this information that could be detrimental to such organizations. That's basically what, software engineering is. And some of, the ways we can, cope this kind of menace is by, firstly, training of staff. Cybersecurity awareness. This is very, very vital. We look at it as, oh, I've known all, because normally those in the field, they understand the kind of threats and the types of current threats. And even the hackers, they are even faster than the practitioners. So we're there to let you know, this is what is happening today. This is how you can stay safe. This is how you can be able to the kind of security, software you'd want to use to, secure, your assets and the rest. So it is very, very important for us to, use this awareness stuff. And even in terms of social engineering too, you see that organizations organizing this kind of awareness will help such individual to, keep to their guide and follow due protocol in, securing some of the soft or files that could, be used by hackers to, infiltrate into, such organizations. And lastly, talking about the NGSAT handshake with CCN, of course, this has one issue that has been, lingering. I think we actually, tried to want to, at least have this kind of, association with the NSA, and it is all, not successful. Because each time we talk, we want to I think on 3 occasions we've written, letters officially to introduce the association, because so far the association has been on since 2015, and we have had, conferences. If I think you're following up with the station, organizations, we have conferences, Cyber Secure Nigeria, from 2015 till date. It's just for this year, because of the coronavirus, we're thinking of having an online one. And while we're doing this, I know you, on occasions, you've visited, or you've attended some of these conferences, but able to, have that synergy to want to work together, that has not been visible from your hand. But I think we put in efforts to, want to see this, happen. So I believe with you coming up with this, it's an opportunity for us to, want to, start, this and see how we can, bring in this kind of synergy. It should be a very, very welcome one for session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our facilitator, for those explanations. There is a question here. Please, how can you prosecute a hacker that has gained access to your database? And what are the procedures to secure your database? Then also another one says, okay, I think you have answered that one. How can you prevent hackers from getting access to mail accounts? There, I remember you mentioned password protection and probably 2-factor authentication. That is, you go a further level. So, but this question, I don't know if it's to be addressed later, but how can you prosecute a hacker? Is it possible today to prosecute a hacker that is able to get access to your system?
Of course, it is possible, because at least we have the cybercrime law in place, and some of its contents in it actually talked about, hackers and how, hackers can be prosecuted. There is this particular one that talked about There's this particular one that talk about the if an hacker is found guilty that that is unlawfully accessing certain computers or networks or certain information, such hackers should be fined a sum of 10 million naira and also either 5 years imprisonment. So all these are in the law, but implementation per se is one key issue we are facing today in the country. But we want to believe, as time goes on, that would, be taken care of. But I know reporting such kind of crime, to the EFCC, they have that capacity to want to, prosecute such persons. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that question. Of course, we're still going on. We'll round up in the next 5 minutes. There's a question here. Is it possible for non-professional to acquire cybersecurity skills? I know there will be further information down the line, but will you want to comment just for a minute on that? How a non-professional, somebody possibly not in, I don't know, well-versed in cybersecurity to become a professional?
Yes, I want to say that cybersecurity is one course that is very, very flexible in terms of, you've been a professional, you've not been a professional, and you have an interest to want to, learn some of the skills. It's flexible in the sense that aside, not having a degree in that area or, any formal training, you could do so many online courses, just as I've listed earlier on. You could do so many online courses, and again, for maybe you would want to proceed to your master's or PhD and your first degree in another area, it is possible for you to, start, becoming, a professional in cybersecurity. I will tell you, I have a student currently that is doing a PhD in cybersecurity. That's FUT now. She's, I think she studies linguistics in the ABU's area. And now she enrolled for PhD cybersecurity. With this will give her the edge to want to, do her master's and also a PhD. And currently she's, with this COVID-19 lockdown, she has enrolled for a professional program too, that is certified ethical hacking. It's a profession that there is no dull moment. You can always do anything you want to do successfully. Thank you.
If you have it.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Idris, for that. Please, we're preparing for the second session, which will start later, and we'll take more questions then. I can see some other people are raising their hands, but we want to draw the curtain so that we can just go for about 30 minutes and then we'll be back. Dr. Ernest, if you're still available, you can join us at that time, and maybe your microphone will be sorted out by then. So I want to thank very, very much our able presenter for this first session. We'll just go for 30 minutes break and we'll be back by 12:30. Okay, thank you very much. Welcome back to the afternoon session. Our facilitator is back on, Dr. Idris. We had some slight technical challenge, but they are being resolved now. So without wasting further time, we'll continue with the lecture that we started in the morning, all about cybersecurity. And we're enhancing our knowledge on several aspects of this very important topic today. So over to you, Dr. Ismaila Idris, to continue with the second part of this presentation. We encourage our participants to note some of the questions they have and the observations such that they can participate in the interactive session after the presentation. Thank you very much.
Can you help me with the video so that I can be on?
Okay, I'll do that now. Okay, can you try your video now?
Okay.
Right, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the second session of this seminar. So far, we are able to look at some of the human factors in cybersecurity, and we dealt with developers and designers of a system, human and users of consumers as consumers, human as orchestrators and practitioners, and also we'll be looking at human as active advisory. Some of the questions raised we'll look at it briefly in terms of how individual can secure its applications and systems. Just as was asked earlier on, we'll look more, we'll double more on that as we'll move on with this presentation. Now, humans as active advisory. This particular issue is very, very there because you can't just predict what an individual is doing or how, when an individual able to have access to your information or your network. So this makes it very, very complex because an individual can easily hide online, getting information, having access to your computers without you.
I see to the computer science. Dr. Owacha.
So,
okay.
So human are very, very key in terms of, being an adversary to, this type of attacks. Let's look at, it says that 71% breaches were for financial purpose, while 25% are for espionage. We know what, at least most hackers, what they're looking at is how do they infiltrate into the system and be able to have, to get some financial, benefit from it. Let's take an instance of, the malware attack that happens in 2017. That is the WannaCry malware. We discovered that what this malware did is, just strings of code that was just, unleashed to the world. And by the time it's have access to, individual system, what it does is it's encrypted every information in that system and, with the username, password, and it will only enable access to such, infrastructure by the time an individual or the organization pay to want to, access such, information. And this is called the ransomware, software then. And a lot other the attacks, happening, with our computer systems, with the way, these attacks, the disguise and, you not knowing, okay, this is what is, actually, happening. So it is very, very key. That's why we said that the IPs in attackers' tactics, techniques, and procedures. It's very, very huge. And basically for, financial gain or for espionage, you have, a country wanting to get information, maybe military information from another country, or, information that could, hit their own economy from another company, country. So this is an espionage attack, and it could be in form of advanced persistent threats, where, the attack keep coming, and it could span for years with huge amount of, money being budgeted for this kind of attack. So, we have varying types. We have the DOS or DDoS, that is attacks. We have the malware attacks. We have the phishing attacks. I discussed the phishing earlier, so I might not really, double more on it. The ransomware, which I just talked about, the crypto jacking, all these are the different, types of attack that could, that could happen. Let's look at the denial of service attack. Let's imagine, you have just one lane, car, going in and car coming out, and there is an event happening in that same area. And at the peak period, you have cars moving, just one car at a time can pass through, that road. And by the time this event is finished, you find out that, you have, the road becomes choked up with, people trying to leave that vicinity. So in that case, what happens? It becomes, a traffic log. So this itself makes it difficult for movement to happen and for activities to, continue. And that way, it happens to, the network too. You find, someone, trying to filtrate or trying to send, so many information messages, try to keep, the network busy in order to, make it redundant, create traffic on the network, so that an individual will not be able to access such a, network or do whatever you want to do. And also we have malware attack. Malware attack, as I've already said, like the example I gave of, the WannaCry malware, we still have other ways in which, your systems could be, attacked by malware. Earlier on, I talked about the PDF attachment or someone sending a link to you. It could be, a form of sending a message that requires you to act promptly to it and, give feedback immediately. And why they're doing this is because they want you not to, waste time in wanting to, or wanting to think before, you click. And it could be from you think from a trusted, party, maybe from your boss, from your organizations, and because you see the headline there, you just want to click and, move on. This kind of, attack itself can, create havoc to not just individual, but also to an organization, because by the time it have access to, such systems, it means the hacker is able to get every information it requires to be able to, get information, and also, whatever, data that's required for such, hackers to move on. And we'll have the phishing attack too. Phishing attack, like, the attachments. It could be an email from a trusted one. It could be a link to from a trusted one. Or this kind of attack, is like a deceiving someone to want to, like, see the need to want to, click on a certain page or a certain link. And by the time you do that, of course, you are creating, access to an hacker. And that's why, instead of, just rush and click any, link, any folder, you look, you think, and you make sure it is coming from a trusted, party for you to not to do this. And also the SQL inject attack, mostly the SQL injection attack, like SQL, the services are used for database to store critical, information. Of course, the database servers that are used to store critical information. The SQL, software is basically used for this. And we have what we call the SQL injection. That is a malicious code that could, be injected into this database. And this will, obscure information, the names, probably, the password of an individual, and, some other, very critical customer information or on the website. And this is a kind of attack that basically it keeps the customers vulnerable, because in most organizations today, big organizations, you find out that, you have database of all your customers with detailed information, transaction information, and what have you. With this SQL injection, this could be used to, have access of, this kind of information. And credential reuse. We have situations where individual, everybody is, guilty of this, where you have, you are using your WhatsApp, you're using a particular, password for your WhatsApp, or even your Yahoo Mail, your Gmail, you use the same password, you keep, repeating the same, user credentials for, all your, this is, portend, danger to, would-be users. And this is one of the, issues that plays when you talk about, the factors based on the users and also the customers. Because if you're doing this, even the hackers, they realize that, because of the weakness of, an individual, you will, they capitalize on, if they are able to get one, username password of such individual, they can be able to access every other, applications of such users. And we have the session hijacking and the man-in-the-middle attack. This type of course, by the time you want to create a session, you want to communicate from one, user to the other. You log into your internet, you're doing your communication. There's to a remote server, and this, remote server normally it's given a unique, user ID. So what happens? There is this guy in the middle that hijacks this ID, posing as the computer making, a request. So this, by the time it hijacks this ID, it's labeled him to be able to have access at the other hand, because, he will pose as if he is the one that is, making the request to the system, whereas it's just at the middle of your communication between you and, the web server you are trying to, communicate with. These are types of, attacks that could, emanate. And we said active advisory. Some of the active advisory, some of the active advisory advantage, anonymity, and the nation state's capability will have rapid changes in attackers' tactics, techniques, and procedures, load of vulnerabilities, zero or no rule of engagement, and leveraging on the people's flaws. Leveraging of the people's flaws is one critical aspect that needs to be addressed by, most organizations. And of course, it states that approximately $6 trillion has been lost globally to cybercrime in the last 3 years. That's to tell you how huge it is. Talking about, cybercrime, talking about, attacks that happen across the globe, it is very, very huge. A lot of money goes down in terms of, all these human factors that plays in, securing our, our assets. And majorly, I would want to talk about the rapid changes in attackers' tactics, techniques, because as it is, as a cyber security professional, there is need for you to make sure you are up to date with activities, with techniques, with approach that, hackers use in wanting to, attack, their prey, because they go ahead of the practitioners, of the professionals, to want to make sure they have an hedge over you. So there is need for that constant, practicing, that constant understanding of the environment, that constant understanding of most of these procedures. So it's not, something you just learn and just let go without, constant updating your techniques and, approach. Let's look at how to win the cybersecurity arms race. We need to meet the demand for highly skilled cybersecurity professionals by training more and train our users. There is what we call the cybersecurity awareness. Aside the individual that are in this, industry, the professional, there is need for us to look at, the users of these systems, creating awareness to them, especially, the kind of attacks that, leverage on the users of these systems, like the spear phishing, like the social engineering, and what have you. All these are targeted on the users. So that is why the users, they play a major role in making sure that, the organization's, facilities are secured, and even themselves, they are secured from, I guess. So how do we do this? As a user, we must first keep your computer updated with the latest security software. Just like it is necessary to lock your front door at home, it is imperative to ensure your computer is secure. Definitely, you're talking about installing the antivirus, anti-spyware, and also the firewall. If not, otherwise you will have, hackers able to exploit and, find existing flaws. And also make sure you have, constant updates of, your systems. And if possible, you leave it on an auto update feature. Okay, this will enable, constant, update of these softwares by the time, the new version comes up, so as to stay up to date with, the current software and able to protect your computer. And we have what we call the configure your computer security settings. This is very, very vital for every computer users. Of course, you need to, understand how to, configure most of these applications you use, either the internet browser or the email software, as they will be, by the time you set them, properly, they'll be able to, alert you if there is any potential risk or if there is any, intruder into the, systems. Of course, at least we all use, the email, and we understand that when you log on to your email in another system, because of the security features in it, it is able to tell you, send a mail to you to tell you that someone has logged into your system with another, computer. So that way you will know if it is you that actually did it or not, so that you take, measures to be able to, protect if it is a different person that is using such computer. And also we have, we're responsible when using passwords online. Would want to, take note of, how we use our passwords, making sure you have, 8 character, and also make sure the password is not related to personal information like your birthdays, your login names, and what have you. And also make sure passwords that you use for other, for one app is not the same you are using for the other apps. And making sure, some people, you just find out, you're using password and you have probably a sticker and you just write it on a, sheet of paper, or you put it on your phone, or all these are, insecure way of, you wanting to make sure, your password is secure and personally, you're able to have it offer. And we have the keep an eye out for suspicious email. For example, if an email is sent to you and there is misspellings, or you have programmer or other phrasing, of course, just be suspicious of such email, especially talking about a suspicious web address, such as one made up of predominant numbers rather than, words. For instance, I'll give us an instance of this. We have situations where, like this banking app. I think I've seen one where we use the either UBA banking app or GTB banking apps to want to you want to use it to send in or do transaction using your UBA banking apps. Normally, the HTTP in your browser, it's supposed to come with an X. I've seen a cloned application that is the platform for the UBA app where it's the S is missing. That S should stand for secure, and that's to tell you that the browser you are using is secure. So if you didn't note this, it is possible you just use it and not knowing you are giving information to an hacker because someone has cloned that when the website, and every information you are putting in there is going straight in the hands of an hacker. So this kind of information is very, very vital. What we do, how will make sure we look at especially the website we're using and making sure they are the correct site. And also make sure we keep our personal, information protected. Try as much as possible, especially the social engineering. We try and see how we can, keep vital information, be it, print information or on the system. We keep them safe. Always get your email address when possible, and do not necessarily post it on any online blog like the chat rooms. You find social post on the chat room, the news groups, and what have you. Making sure all this information are kept safe. And also, in most cases, we find out that we are used to making use of maybe pirated materials. Talk of the use of, pirated softwares like for operating systems and what have you. And this is very, very dangerous because in most cases you find out that most of these softwares comes with a hidden file, that is attachment, like the hidden Trojan horse. By the time you download it, it downloads with this Trojan horse malware, and by the time you're using this, it's infiltrates into your computer system and also makes it accessible for hackers to be able to steal data and files from your system. So let's use the original softwares rather than pirated copies. You regularly check on your financial accounts to make sure there is no unauthorized transaction that is taking place, because that way you'll be able to alert the bank and stop such transactions from taking place. And we have the online protection of children. Our kids these days, they use the internet a lot for learning purpose, and at the same time, they use it for social networking, which makes them very, very prone to the different assaults that could happen online. So there is need for us to be able to protect them. We'll make sure we would know what they are doing online, and they're able to see where or who they are chatting with, because you find instance where an adult molesting a kid, and to the extent that she had to commit suicide. So all these are very, very vital. They are very, very important for us to keep track of in order to secure the children. We'll move on to the key elements in cybersecurity. From here, I think we're able to address some of the issues we should be looking at in terms of securing our computer, securing our data, and also securing our network. And some of this type of attack that attackers leverage on in wanting to infiltrate through these systems. So let's look at everything you need to know about cybersecurity. We said is protection of internet connected systems, such as the hardware, the software, and data from cyber threats. The practice is used by individuals and enterprises to protect against unauthorized access to data center and other computerized systems. So basically, this is what we look at when we talk about, cybersecurity. Though it's broad, looking at, the hardware angle, looking at the software angle, and what have you. I would want to come here, like, talking about malware. I would want to double into it a little, because sometimes I would want them to know that, yes, because most of the malware attacks are codes, are strings of codes that are sent to computer systems. So, and most of these malwares are written either in C++ programming language, and this language is always important for reading and understanding open source code. So with the use of this programming language, it makes you able to understand, or used by hackers to want to, as a malware to, attack certain, computer or facilities. And this also supports low-level system programs that are critical components of the operating systems. So the C++ itself, it supports a low-level system programs, which are very, very critical to components of the operating systems. And also we have the Python, which is a highly easier than other low-level languages, but Python provides many advantages in a security role, such as enabling you to automate tasks and also execute malware analysis. So these two is one tool that is very, very solid, talking about malware, analysis. So in the most, aspect of or field of, cybersecurity, of course, you need, programming codes to be able to, do most of those things. So it is stated that business now leverage on technology and the internet and scale up to meet customers' demand. That is over 70% of business leverage on technology and the internet. And with, what is happening today, it's worse because most activities, most buying, most sellings, happens on the internet today. So you have a whole lot of rush, a whole lot of traffic on, our internet today. And we look at the key element of cybersecurity, talking cybersecurity, some of those things we want to look at that helps us to be able to, coordinate, security and also able to help us to secure, data, secure network, our network and secure our computer. Basically, looking at some of the application security. Of course, with the application, these are, day-to-day apps that we use, either in WhatsApp, either in Facebook, either, just name it. And also we have the information security, able to secure information, data's on your system, data's on transit, and, what have you. And also we have the network security to able to secure, your transmission network from one facility to the other, transmissions that happens via, the network. And also disaster recovery. Of course, the one very vital thing about cybersecurity is there is no total security. Because as individuals are trying to, secure their infrastructure, the same way the bad guys are, trying to, gain access to this infrastructure. So in most cases, they go ahead of the professionals. So, of course, there is need for us to, think of, should in case there is a disaster, what happens? How do we recover from it and move on with our, our business? Means move on with our transaction, making sure organizations are not being, shut down. And we have what we call the operational security within, such organizations too. And also the end user education, which is creating awareness. This is very, very vital in order to, keep, the users abreast with, recent trends and what they should look out for, what they should do, and how they should do it. So, in a nutshell, users should always, stop the think before, they connect to whatever they would want to connect to on the internet. And also, not only that, you have, probably prints, probably you have, print out like, hard copies, and also that security threat to, an organization, all these, how do they make sure they keep all these, documents to make sure, the hackers don't have, access to it or leverage on it to want to attack such, organizations. Briefly, I talked about some of these key elements like the application security. And here it says application security is the process of developing, adding, and testing security features within application to prevent security vulnerability against threats and unauthorized access. Basically, that is the essence of securing our application. I think we double more on this, earlier on, but we talked about, applications. And we have the information security, which basically talked about, able to, secure our confidential, private, and sensitive information or data from unauthorized use or misuse, disclosure, or destruction. also modification, and also this disruption. And that is where we talk about the three aspects of cybersecurity. And the earlier, presentation, where we talk about the confidentiality, the integrity, and so on. So this is the area where we would want to, talk about how this could be protected, how we should make sure this is secured in order to, keep things moving. And also talked about the network security. And this, you want to protect the underlying network infrastructure from unauthorized use access, misuse, malfunction, and also modification, able to protect your network security. And we'll have disaster recovery. I talked about, plans that organization could have on ground should, in case an event or an attack happens. What happens? Do you just, let, things go and you start struggling on how to get back on your feet? No, there should be a disaster recovery plan where, you plan ahead. If an attack happens, you make sure, the organization is able to move on and still able to protect most of its critical, infrastructure and, moving on with, normal business. And offshore, we'll talk about operational security, which talked about the adversaries, and also how individual will want to secure information to make sure, you don't have, any cause to want to, deal with, adversaries. So operational security, basically, it identifies critical information to determine if friendly actions can be observed by enemy intelligence, and determines if information obtained by adversaries could be interpreted to useful and also be useful to them. And we have the end user education, which is very, very key. End users on the side of, your boss, end users on the side of, the users of these, systems itself. Of course, there is one thing to want to put, every security in place to want to secure your infrastructure, but another thing to want to, make sure the end users have adequate skills and knowledge of how to secure such infrastructure. It could be just physical security, because physical security is part of, cyber security. Physical security, making sure the door is locked properly in order to avoid access into, the office where you have sensitive information. It could be, phishing. All these are involved with, the users. So that's why the users need to be educated to want to, meditate against, either phishing, social engineering attacks, and, whatever, and all different, other attacks that are targeted at the end users. Yeah, I think I explained all this before, talking about, the attackers' tactics, techniques, and procedures. Where we talked about those attacks and also the malware attacks, talking about the phishing attacks, the cryptojacking, ransomware attack. All these are, what we have, discussed before. And mostly, let's have in mind that all of these attacks are geared towards either espionage, where, a system is being put in place to spy into another country's, probably military information or political information, or through, you're hacking for, wanting to get the username, you want to get the password or, account of the individual and able to have access, or having identity of, most of these, attacks happens because of. That's why it's been spelled out into, two ways, either via, money, gain for money, or via espionage. These are some of the two, major reasons why, attack would, want to take place. From here, we will, I think this is all about, our presentation for today. That is talking about the human factors in cyber security. I would want to talk a little about the ESTEL, MSc, and the PhD cybersecurity programs. And for will-be or prospective students, I would want to say you are lucky to, if you are able or be opportuned to want to be part of these programs, because I am involved on this program from the scratch, and I know the kind of intensity that the management of, the Open University and the ESTEL are taking towards, the success of these programs, and the kind of resource persons from across, universities in Nigeria, and also we have consultants that, we also dealt with, from other universities abroad. So this makes it very, very, robust in terms of the content of materials that students should expect for the MSc programs and also the PhD programs in cybersecurity. And also not only that, the learning process comes with the learning outcomes, and also talked about, the practical component. So the program itself is not meant to just make you pass through the degree program, but also give you an hands-on, and at the end of it, you're able to, come up with, certain professionalism in the area of cybersecurity based on, what field you really want to, do your research on. And basically, talking about ESTEL, African Center of Excellence or Technology Enhanced Learning, is a World Bank funded center established 2019 at the National Open University. And the MSc, PhD cybersecurity programs aims at, research-oriented graduates of cybersecurity science and other fields too, because as it is, we're not just looking at cybersecurity, we have so many other skills like that are computer related, like we have IT, computer engineering, you have, at least if you are able to have, some field in, the area of, computer science, I think you're eligible to want to, apply for this program. And it's going to be highly, competitive with what, it's on ground. And also the aim is to build national and regional capacity through theoretical and practical cybersecurity science, leading to advancement in information and communication technology, ICT, minimize cybercrime, and develop high-level expertise for economic development. Up till tomorrow, we don't have enough cybersecurity professionals on ground. I can bet you that. FUT presently have graduated, students from cybersecurity department undergrad level, and I know the level of, acceptability and the level at which, they are being, employed in most organizations. And I can tell you, there is no organization today that would want to float without, cybersecurity experts, because whatever we do in our small way, we must use the computer, we can communicate via the computer, and it means we must secure our, critical infrastructure. So it's a welcome development that this is coming, and it is coming, it's very, very apt, coming at the right time. And also the program is able to cover all aspects of cybersecurity via the coursework and also practical sessions. And we're looking at web application security, software security, malware analysis, network security, cryptography, forensics, biometrics, data mining. All these are some and more of, you know, the courses that we should expect in the MSc and also the PhD program. The program basically for MSc, I think it's supposed to be for 3 semesters, which means you do your coursework for 1 year and for 2 semesters, and the 3rd semester you go for your thesis proper. And also for PhD, there are some coursework you have to do because, you know, understandable that, you know, we have people from other backgrounds too, not strictly cybersecurity. Like you have MS in computer science, you have MS in IT, and you would want to, of course, there is need for us to, you know, tutor you on some of these cybersecurity courses. But I want to assure you, it's going to be, you know, very, very robust in terms of the contents and also the practical components of it. And also we have also the virtual lab, where students will be able to, you know, assess tools that could be used in, you know, any of the practical sessions. These could be done at the comfort of their home. And the program, you know, proposes the network security lab, the malware analysis lab, the penetration test lab, forensic labs, security operations capabilities lab, and threat intelligence, and, you know, Autun labs. All these labs are, and more will be made available for students to do hands-on as they progress in their, you know, courses. I want to thank you all for listening. I hope I did not bore you too much, and I hope you find this presentation, you know, interesting. We don't have much time. I'd love to really, you know, expatiate more on, you know, some other concepts, but I believe by the time the prospective students, you know, enroll for this program, we'll be able to, you know, share our knowledge and experience, and also be able to work together to uplift the profession, and also, you know, their capacity to be able to become a well-grounded cybersecurity professionals. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ismail Idris, for doing a very good job in presenting this seminar to us. Already we are feeling as if we're getting to know more and more about cybersecurity. And I tell us that this is a well-needed skill today around the world, and especially in our country. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate the detailed presentation and all the angles that you have presented. So we've come to the point where our presenter will take questions, and also we can interact generally around this topic. If you desire to ask a question or make a comment, please feel free to just raise your hand, and I will allow you to do that. There is a comment already that says, can we, this is very good, we will be able to get the PowerPoint presentation. Okay. I believe so, Dr. Idris.
Yes,
okay.
I can send it across immediately and share with participants.
Okay. So once it gets to the ISTA Secretariat, the Secretariat will be able to forward to our participants the PowerPoint. Also, the video of this presentation, it's been taken. So there's a recording going on. So at the end of the workshop, of the seminar rather, the videos will be circulated, both for the first session and the second session. So we'll make that available. Okay, I can see two persons have raised their hands already. Okay, again, we have Dr. Kadir, all right, and then Pet Wilson Olatunde. So let's start with you and have your comments.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, Mr. Olatunde, yes, we are hearing you.
I would like to first and foremost appreciate the Esther team for this opportunity. And I also like to appreciate Dr. Idris. He's somebody I personally knew as I was a former student in Federal University of Technology.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and this is a good platform to hear again from a well-learned expert in cybersecurity. Yeah, one of my questions is, as users, as the end users of most of all these web applications and other applications, both mobile and on the web, they require so many usernames and passwords. And you talk about the reuse of credentials. It's one of the areas that is not very okay that attackers can, pry on to gain access to applications. So my question is this: will you recommend that users should make use of password managers? Because I think it's very, very tedious for a user to remember usernames and passwords for maybe 10 different accounts without reusing those credentials. And two, sometimes on some of all these web browsers, they advise using incognito browsers, that it prevents your history being saved on the browser. Will be most especially some of us that go to cyber cafes or make use of other people's system. Now, how really secured are these incognito browsers? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Olatunde, for those two questions. I believe Dr. Ismail is taking note of them. The use of password manager on the browser, and also how secured is using the incognito mode on the browser. Okay, so we'll take other comments, and then Dr. Idris will answer those questions. Dr. Greg, are you making a comment? Okay.
Hello? Can I go ahead? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, Dr. Idris, I'm so sorry. I was partly in the Faculty of Science meeting and a little here because I wanted to really gain from the cybersecurity teaser. I've been much interested in the area of ethical hacking. So probably you might have mentioned, talked about ethical hacking, but I didn't hear that. So I don't know if you could just give a brief on ethical hacking, because it's like from the little I heard of you, you were talking more of humans being having destructive or malicious intent into hacking into systems. But from the little I know about ethical hacking, it's like you have people that are trained to hack systems, and they're able to see the vulnerable parts of the existing systems so as to offer solutions that the organization can use to better defend or protect the system. So I don't know if you could just throw a bit of light in this area. That's just my contribution. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation.
Okay. Thank you for that. More information on ethical hacking. All right. Yes, Dr. Kadri, can you please quickly make your comments? Okay. Let's quickly go on to one other attendee that has raised the hand. Praise Ordu. So, Mr. Praise, can you please make your comments?
I want to thank Dr. Idris and the team for the presentation. It was very informative. I want to make an inquiry on the program, the MSc and the PhD program. I want to find out when it's going to begin, when it's going to start, and the timeline for it.
Okay. Okay. All right. We'll get to that shortly. Okay, Dr. Idris, please, can you respond now? Thank you.
I can respond now?
Yes, please.
Okay. The first one, talking about password manager. I think presently, of course, the password manager is also a secure platform where we can always save our password, because it is an app that, has developed over time and with, certain security features that helps you secure, your credentials as you, put them online. But let's also be mindful, because this also is an application that could be hacked into. So as we do this, the most important thing is staying secure. Trying to, practice, some of these things that could, make you able to, not be a prey to an attacker. Because even with that, of course, it's an app, of course, it's has your credentials there. And what happens if, of course, we know it is secure, but then what happens if, because that is what we're saying, there is no total security. And as you try to secure your infrastructure the same way, the hackers too are, they are improving in their game and trying to want to, see how they can actuate. So it's secured for now, but then not totally secured because of, we don't know what tomorrow will portray. Probably, your credentials, gotten hacked, and that is it. So that's it for the password manager. And for the ethical hacking, right? More information on, ethical hacking. Yeah, I think ethical hacking is one of the major, courses we have in the ESTEL program, and is one area that was seriously dealt with. That is in the first and the second semester of the program. And basically, ethical hacking, you've said it all, because all it does is it involves finding weaknesses in computer or network system for testing purpose. You want to find the weakness in your computer system or your network for you to test to know if there is an attack going on or there will be an attack going on, so that you can be able to fix such systems. And we have what we call the password hacking, which is the process of recovering secret passwords from data that has been stored in or transmitted by a computer system. So these, are basically, and also we have the different ways in which, hackings can take place, types of hacking, which could be either hacking the website, it could be, hacking, the network, hacking your email, and also password hacking, computer, hacking, all these, components we earlier talked about could easily, be hacked. So basically, this is how far I can go about, hacking for now, because it is, just, talking about some information about, ethical hacking. And lastly, MSc and PhD program. I think you should be in the right position to talk about this MSc and PhD program, right, sir? Or I can talk. Okay, I know the process is ongoing for the MSc and PhD program. Currently, the Estelle team, they are putting finishing touches to the application, platform. And I know in a week or two it will be on, and the prospective students can, log in and, start, putting in their application. And I also know that before this year runs out, we'll have, students for the programs that we want to start with, both at, master's and PhD level. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Just to add to what you have said about the takeoff of the program.
We are not hearing you.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Hello, hello. Yeah, some people are hearing me. I can hear. I can hear you. Yeah, I think sometimes you need to check your volume, the volume of your system. If it's very low, you may not hear. So regarding the question on when the program, when will it start? Right now we're at the process of resource verification from NUC. Okay, and that is to be concluded.
Not hearing you, sir. We're not hearing you, sir.
Okay.
I don't know. Is any other person hearing him, please?
I can hear him. I can hear him.
Yeah, we can hear him.
I can hear him.
So,
I'm hearing.
Dr. Idris, since you are not hearing, I'm just typing, check the volume. Check the volume of your system. Okay. So some people are hearing me, so I think the problem has to do with volume. So NUC accreditation is going on. Of resource verification, sorry. And at the end of the exercise, which is about being completed, advertisement will go on, and applications can now come in. Please watch the space, watch the Estelle website, https estelle.nou.edu.ng for all the information regarding application. We will post the website before we finish. Okay, so that's that. Thank you again, Dr. Idris, for answering the questions. Just one or two more observations. There is a question here that says, okay, Dr. Idris, you've not answered the question, how safe is the incognito mode on the browser? Does it mean when you use it, you are necessarily safe?
I'm not hearing you, sir.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if others are hearing you. I'm not hearing you.
Yeah, others can hear me.
Please confirm from others, please.
Yeah. Okay. Others can hear me. Anyway, I'm sure when we get to resolve this challenge, you'll be able to answer. But the incognito mode tries to anonymize your data such that it doesn't get easily stored or visible. However, the ISP, I believe, can be able to see the data. It's not as if it's 100% covering whatever transaction that goes on. The transaction goes, for instance, if you make a search in the incognito mode, it doesn't save your search in the browser memory, for instance. And if you are logged in, it doesn't necessarily keep your log, the fact that you have logged into a site when you are in incognito. However, the ISP sees all this, and if it's a level, a problem coming through the ISP end, the system is still vulnerable. So it just for me, in my own opinion, it's just a step higher in terms of protecting the user, but it's not foolproof in terms of security. So saying that when you use the incognito mode, you'll be safer in browsing may not necessarily be correct. But to say what you browse will be more private, yes, that is correct. I believe you can hear me, or you heard my responses. Dr. Greg, please, I would like you to answer this question. Being somebody in the computer science department for a long time, there is this question: what are the criteria to enroll for MSc cybersecurity? For instance, if first degree is not on cybersecurity, can anyone apply for MSc cybersecurity, or you must go through PGD cybersecurity? Dr. Greg, can you hear me? Wow.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Okay, good. Dr. Idris, you're back now. Thank you very much. There was the question you missed, but I've tried to answer it. The question was the incognito mode in the browser. You missed that part. That is it safer to use that for browsing or not? I quickly responded that it makes your browsing more private, but for the security aspect, I'm not too sure. Perhaps you can throw more light. Then there is also the question that what is the criteria to enroll for MSc cybersecurity? If your first degree is not in cybersecurity, can somebody apply for MSc, or you have to go through PGD? So if you can hear me, Dr. Idris, would like your response.
I hear you on the second question, but the first one, criteria to enroll for MSc program. But the first one, the network.
Okay, let me repeat the first question. Yeah, let me repeat the first question. Remember somebody asked, I think it was Olatunde Petwilson, about the incognito mode on the browser. Okay, that's how secured is it? Okay, so because when you browse, sometimes you can select to go to incognito mode, and then it allows you to go on. So while you were not hearing me, I made an attempt to respond to that question by saying that the incognito mode helps you to browse privately. Okay, it doesn't store, for instance, your searches, or your logins do not necessarily persist. However, information transmitted are still back and forth, are still viewable, let's say through your ISP and that. So my response was that it makes you more private, but I'm not too sure it has any serious impact on the security level. So you might want to comment.
Well, it has to some extent, because information from such browsers are only at the other hand. But then it becomes, information being used by you as a person personally. So with that, it gives you that some leverage of, security using the acknowledgement model for browsing.
Okay.
I think you okay. On the criteria to enroll for MSc, actually, well, it depends on your background, because you know very well that it's not everybody that has first degree cybersecurity. And the most important thing is having some basic knowledge of, computer, because we are not only talking about security, but there are some other components of, computer that you would need to know for you to be able to, come into for the cybersecurity program. So, and like students that have studied probably information technology, students that have studied computer science, computer engineering, and related courses of computer science have edge to want to apply for the master's program direct. But for those that have other qualification, it is advisable, or it would be advised to go for a postgraduate diploma, so as to have some basic knowledge of cyber for the program. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. I think we have treated much of the questions. We so much appreciate Dr. Idris for answering the questions, as well as the wonderful presentation today. We hope that after this session, the videos will be made available at the Secretariat, also available through YouTube for our viewers to take advantage of. As we wrap up, I would just like to also share a little video, introductory video to some of our courses. I'll just share one or two so that we can have a feel of those, what it takes to do some of these courses that is being hosted in Easter. So permit me to share my screen just for a second, and we will go through one or more of the courses. Just 1 minute, please. Okay, where are you? Okay. Sure.
Hi, and welcome to CST 812, Cyber Law and Ethics, a 2-credit unit compulsory course. In this course, you will learn about legal and policy challenges of evolving cybersecurity threats at national and international level, legal frameworks, cyber regulation standards, laws, and technology. Furthermore, you will be taken through national and international governing authorities, security governance and policy, privacy law, security policy development cycle, property rights legislation, virtue ethics, utilitarian ethics, and deontological ethics. All these topics will help you analyze statutory, regulatory, constitutional, and organizational laws as it applies to cybersecurity. No doubt, CST 812 will expose you to the laws of other countries in relation to cyberspace, and finally acquaint you with ethical issues surrounding the use of the internet. You are welcome.
Welcome to CST 807, Secure Software Engineering. It is a 2-credit unit elective course that introduces you to security requirements, specification of security requirements, software development lifecycle, security development lifecycle, programming languages, and type-safe languages. It also introduces you to best security programming practices, writing secure distributed programs, secure software, risk analysis, defensive coding, security assessment for web and mobile applications. By the end of the course, you should be able to discuss the intricacies of securing programming, explain vulnerabilities in programming languages, and highlight various software analysis models. You are welcome.
Hi everyone, welcome to CST 808, a 2-credit unit compulsory course titled Incident Management and Disaster Recovery. This course presents you with an overview of information security and risk management. It equally guides you through the role of information security policy in developing contingency plans. In addition, you'll be taken through the principles of disaster recovery, contingency plan components, and agency response procedures. The objectives of this course are to promote the management of the basic infrastructure from risk and disaster through proper administration, and to foster the adoption of international standards for effective management of systems and network infrastructure. Once again, welcome to this interesting and very relevant course.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope we're able to see and learn something. So for our prospective students, these are courses that will be on offer, and to make us know more about cybersecurity in general at MSc and even at PhD level. So we are closing at the moment, and I would like to give our panelists a minute or so to round up. I can see the HOD Computer Science, Dr. Vivian Woucher has joined us. Dr. Vivian, if you are here and you would like to make a comment or two, this is a time to do that. Thank you.
All right, so thank you so much, the presenter, Dr. Idris Ismaila, for the wonderful presentation, and the support, the anchor, the director, Learning Content Management System for anchoring this. I'm sure we've been so cyber conscious, we've become cyber conscious now, and I had him respond to us regarding the requirements, what we need to do to be admitted into this program. But what I want to encourage all of us is that we need also to understand that there's an advantage of coming to A-Style. The learning style is completely different. We can simultaneously work and learn. And basically, we're also going to be exposed to a number of research, hands-on research, because I don't know whether we've been told that, and there are scholarship opportunities. We know that there are many issues revolving around cyber security, cyber attack actually, not cyber, because the cyber attack needs someone that will be able to take care of it. So I'm encouraging all of us to brace up, come up with nice proposals. Since the program we're coming into is research-based, let's brace up, come up with nice research proposals, and we'll have good advantage. Basically, we also have opportunities to work as interns because we already have collaboration with agencies in the field. So we're welcoming you on board. Just come on. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that very warm wrap-up. So right now we want to invite the Deputy Director, A-Style, Professor M.B. Abdullahi, to give us the closing remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ole. Good afternoon, all of you, the speaker, the panelists, and other participants. Ladies and gentlemen, my job at this moment is to say a very big thank you to all of you. We sincerely appreciate our speaker, Dr. Ismaila Idris, for the insightful and wonderful presentation. Dr. Ole has excellently anchored all sessions, and we are grateful for your support and commitment. You will all agree with me that all of us, and indeed the society, need sufficient information on cybersecurity to protect our businesses and survive the post-COVID-19 era. Therefore, it is hoped that you will take the knowledge and information shared here for your own individual protection, growth, and development. We also hope that you will utilize the offer in Estel to further improve and develop yourselves for the challenges ahead. Lastly, but not the least, on behalf of the director and the entire Estel team, we wish to invite you for our last teaser webinar scheduled for 30th June, same time. Please invite others. Thank you and God bless.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Abdullahi, Deputy Director, Estel, for that very wonderful closing remarks. To all our participants, thank you very much. See you on the 30th, God willing, for the next webinar. Bye-bye.